नमस्सर्वेभ्यः कक्षायां स्वागतं प्रार्थनया प्रारम्भं कुर्मः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा हरिः ओम् तत्सत् अस्तु शुभं भूयात् इदानीं ह्यस्तनकक्षायाम् अस्माभिः प्रथमपुरुष अपि च मध्यमपुरुष एक बहुवचन वाक्यानां अभ्यासं कृतं तत्र विशिष्टं किम् आसीत् क्रियापदानां वैखरी विशिष्टमासीत् आत्मनेपदी धातूनां क्रियापदानाम् अभ्यासः कृतः तत् कथं गच्छति सः वन्दते इति प्रथमपुरुषायाम् एकवचने सः वन्दते द्विवचने तौ वन्देते बहुवचने ते वन्दन्ते यदि पुंसि कर्ता अस्ति यदि स्त्रियाम् अस्ति तर्हि सा वन्दते ते वन्देते ताः वन्दन्ते क्रियापदे किमपि भिन्नत्वं न दृश्यते कर्ता पुंसि स्यात् स्त्रियां स्यात् अथवा नपुंसके अपि स्यात् अत्र न दर्शितं नपुंसके अपि स्यात् तर्हि तत्रापि वन्दते वन्देते वन्दन्ते इति केवल वचनम् अनुकृत्य वदामः सो that's first thing we studied then तदनन्तरम् अस्माभिः मध्यमपुरुषे अपि किञ्चित् अभ्यासाः कृताः अन्ते त्वं वन्दसे युवां वन्देथे यूयं वन्दद्वे अत्र त्वं युवां यूयम् इत्यत्र लिङ्गभेदं नास्ति यदि महिला अस्ति सापि त्वम् इत्येव सूचिता भवति मध्यमपुरुषे यदि पुमान् अस्ति सोऽपि सः अपि क्षम्यतां कोऽपि अन्म्यूट् कृतवन्तः यदि पुमान् अस्ति सोऽपि त्वम् इत्येव सूचितः भवति मध्यमपुरुषे एवमेव युवां यूयम् इति त्रिलिङ्गकम् इति वदामः एतत् युष्मद् इति प्रातिपदिकं युष्मद् शब्दः त्रिलिङ्गकः इति वदामः तथैव इदानीम् अद्य तत्र रूपाणि कथं त्वं वन्दसे युवां वन्देथे यूयं वन्दद्वे अत्र किञ्चित् विशिष्टमस्ति द्वे इति तत् मनसि स्थाप्यताम् अस्तु वा तदनन्तरम् अद्य किं कुर्मः अद्य उत्तमपुरुषे अभ्यासान् कृत्वा किञ्चित् मननीकरणाय अनुकूलतां स्थापयामः अस्तु वा तत्र उत्तमपुरुषे यथा प्रथमम् एकवचने अभ्यासः या कापि छात्रां वा यः कोऽपि छात्रं वा आह्वयामि किञ्चित् वासुकी वर्ये स्वागतम् अन्म्यूट् क्रियताम्
स्वागतम्
एतान् वाक्यान् उत्तमपुरुषः इति आरभ्य संस्कृते अपि च आङ्ग्ल अनुवादमपि पठ्यतां सावकाशेन झटिति न सावकाशेन पठ्यताम्
उत्तमपुरुषः एकवचनं फर्स्ट पर्सन सिंगुलर अहं मन्ये I think अहं वन्दे I salute अहं वर्ते I stay am there अहं शङ्के I doubt अहं ईक्षे correct sir
दीर्घ ईकार
okay अहं ईक्षे I see अहं सहे I endure अहं सेवे I serve अहं परीक्षे I
परीक्षे
अहं परीक्षे I examine अहं भाषे I talk अहं ऊहे I guess अहं अपेक्षे I expect
You see the iksh dhatu, thanks Bhagini, thanks for reading very clearly. The iksh dhatu, which is the observe, to observe, that dhatu, it is there in three places in different forms. First is in native form as directly observe in ikshe, aham ikshe, uttama purusha, I observe or I see. It's again there in aham parikshe. What is the difference between ikshe and parikshe? In parikshe there is a upasarga added. Okay, upasarga type added. So because of which I comprehensively observe, that means I intricately observe, which means I examine is the meaning that comes out of it in Lokarudhi. Similarly, if you see apekshe is also iksha, ikshe only. So apekshe, expect. So I look forward to is the sense. Apa ikshe. Okay, apekshe. I look forward
अपेक्ष.
to something coming to me so that I can
Okay.
observe. That means I expect. That is the sense that comes from it. So this is a exercise where we see how upasarga addition to the dhatu derives additional vectors of meanings to the original dhatu. So though we have 2000 dhatus, by adding upasarga we can easily
Namaskaram.
lot of noise from somewhere. I have muted now. So we can extend the available dhatus into even more acute variants using these upasargas. Okay, something you are going to be taught as part of this whole series of lessons. We are going to come across upasarga also somewhere and learn about them. Okay. It is a big subject, of course. In a limited way, they will teach you some things, and upasargas don't have a fixed way in which they vary every dhatu. Okay, so there is a subtle dhatu specific derivative meanings that come. So it is a rudhi abhyasa. We have to collect, okay, this means this in rudhi. In practice, this is the meaning gotten out. But once we know the rudhi meaning, we can go back and kind of appreciate how that rudhi meaning came from the combination of that upasarga and that dhatu. Okay, all right. Nothing specific to Uttama Purusha, what I am talking, because we are looking at Uttama Purusha example, because we are looking at three uses of Iksha Dhatu, I wanted to point that out. Is there a question, Bhagini?
No, धन्यवादः.
Ha,
Understood.
धन्यवादः.
Thank you.
धन्यवादः भगिनी. सम्यक् कृतं भवद्भिः. तो अहं वन्दे आवां वन्दावहे वयं वन्दामहे. अत्र अस्माभिः केवलम् अहं वन्दे इत्यस्मिन् भागे एव विविध धातूनां स्वीकारेण वाक्यानि पठितानि. अस्तु. तो अत्र द्विवचने अपि लिखितमस्ति आवां भाषावहे. We too let us talk, or we too are talking. Some sense like that. Okay, not let us, actually we are talking as absolute present tense statement. Okay, so now let me invite someone else. Ruchita Varye, Ruchita Jadhav Varye.
Mohoday.
Namaste. Look like your two sisters in the group there, Rupa and Ruchita. But anyway, you both are Jadhavs, but sisters anyway. We are all brothers and sisters, so no problem. So Ruchita Varye, if you can read the Bahuvachanam set just the way Vasuki Bhagini read slowly, I would appreciate that.
Uttam Purushah
Uttama,
Bahuvachanam.
क्षम्यतां. Uttama Purushah. Punah vadatu.
Uttam Purushah Bahuvachanam. First person plural. Vayam yatamahe. We try. Vayam sahamahe. We endure. Vayam kramamahe. We excuse. Vayam shlagamahe. We appreciate. Vayam shankamahe. We doubt. Vayam sevamahe. We serve. Vayam ikshamahe. We see. Vayam uvamahe. We guess. Vayam alochamahe. We think. Vayam उत्साहामहे, we are enthusiastic.
We enthuse. Another way of stating that is we enthuse. So everywhere what we read in aham variant, now it's becoming Vayam. And what is happening? Mahe, mahe, mahe ending comes. For example, it was aham yate has become Vayam yatamahe. If you remember the table, aham vande, Vayam vandamahe. So the Dvivachana they have not pointed out, but we know it is instead of Makara, Vakara will come Vandavahe, and instead of Vayam, Avam will come as the subject. Okay. Anyway, so Bagini read it very well. One thing you could see was that the first 6 of them had Anuswara Bindu. The next 4 of them have Halanta Makara. So we remember, because the reason being all these Kriya Padas start, it's all these words I should say, whether they are Kriya Pada is incidental for the current sentence. So because there is a ikara, ukara, akara, ukara, all are swaraksharas, the halanta makara remains a halanta makara. Because these are all vyanjanas, ya, sa, ksha, sh, sh, sa, so they are all converted to anuswara bindu there. Okay, all right. So that is the summary there. Thanks, Bagini. Well read.
धन्यवाद महोदय.
Dhanyavada, Varya. Dhanyavada. I'll just mute everyone. Okay. So now let us see what is the Vishesha. What is the Vishesha? What is the summary extract from the practice we did? Okay. Now they are going to go into the flow of explaining the grammar aspect of it. Okay. So Parasmaipadi, Atmanepadi, Cha. So they want to talk about what is this Parasmaipadi and Atmanepadi. A verb root is called dhatu in Sanskrit. For example, the root of the verb gacchati is gam dhatu. Similarly, of patati, it is path dhatu. Thus, all verbs are derived from roots or dhatus. Verb roots are classified into 3 types. Okay. Parasmaipadi dhatu, Atmanepadi dhatu, Ubayapadi dhatu. Okay. Then they want to explain in a little bit lame way. I will explain why. It seems like not very obvious the explanation, but let us take what is explained and then I will go into a little bit of history about this. Okay, separately, not part of the book or not part of the teaching, but let's observe what is written. Parasmaipadi. What is a Parasmaipadi dhatu? If a verb, that is the dhatu with its pratyaya becomes a verb, no? Thing pratyaya, if you add to dhatu, it becomes a verb. So if a kriyapada in present tense, third person singular, that is basically vartamana kala prathama purusha ekavachana. Okay, vartamana kala prathama purusha ekavachana. So in that mode, it ends in a ti. Okay, the verb root is called parasmaipadi. It is a little bit of lame definition. Actually, because dhatu is parasmaipadi, we actually end up declining it with the ti. So they have just taken that effect and called, it's like, pointing to the egg and say, because there is an egg, that is a chicken. Okay, so little bit like that, but that's okay. We will take this definition, go with this definition for now. Actually, why they are forced to go to this simplistic definition is something that we will also explain after reading this whole thing. So, udaharanam, gam dhatu becomes gacchati, path dhatu becomes pathati, like that. So, they must be parasmaipadi. At least they must be allowing parasmaipadi. We don't know if it is ubayapadi. We will see that also. But we know it won't be because gacchate is not a legal form. So, it is not having atmanepadi declension at all. So, it cannot be ubayapadi. It is pure parasmaipadi. Like that we conclude from looking at the effect. All right. Atmanepadi. So another similar lame definition. If a verb in present tense third person singular, prathama purush, vartamana kale, prathama purushaya, purushe, okay, ekavachane, te iti ante bhavati. Te ends in a te. The verb root is said to be atmanepadi. Udaharanam vartate, kampate, etc. There is no vartati, kampati form. So it is atmanepadi, pure. Okay. Ubhayapadi. if a verb is conjugated in both Parasmaipadi and Atmanepadi forms. So when they say is conjugated, they mean can be declined. Can, of course, they would use declension for nouns and conjugation for verbs. So remember that technicality. So basically adding the pratyaya. As far as we are concerned, conjugation is adding thing pratyaya. Declension is adding sup pratyaya. We call it technically with our own terms are different. Okay. Anyway, so if the verb is conjugated in both Parasmaipadi and Atmanepadi forms, the verb root is designated as Ubhayapadi. Okay. In present tense, third person, singular, the verb has two forms. That is the same Prathama Purusha, Ekavachana, Vartamane. The one ending in ti and the other ending in te. So one example is kru dhatu. Okay. Karoti, kurute. Two declension variations. So the karoti is the Parasmaipadi Ekavachana forms in Lat Prathama Purusha, whereas it is Kurute in the Atmanepadi variant. Okay, and you can decline with both. So now what they next did is for memorization, which we have also been using. We have been making our own tables to look at it. They have now presented the whole picture, including the Dvivachana. Gacchati, gacchataha, gacchanti, gacchasi, gacchataha, gacchataha, gacchami, gacchavaha, gacchamaha. This should become pretty much like a well memorized set. Similarly, vandate, vandete, vandante, vandase, vandethe, vandadve, vande, vandavahe, vandamahe. Should become the automatic corollary in Atmanepadi that we should practice. Ubhayapadi will have both variants is the conclusion. Okay. All right. So this much we learned. Now let me go into the side story. Let's see what is ahead next. Okay, let us finish off reading because there is some more writing by them. Let us finish off. Udaharanam pachati pachate. See, they have picked up some Ubhayapadi dhatus here to explain. Pachati pachate. Yachati yachate. Karoti kurute. These variants. Okay. It may be said that in common usage, now they are going little bit into that history. In common usage in Loka, there is no difference in the sense between Parasmaipadi and Atmanepadi forms of the Ubhayapadi verb root. So slowly what has happened in the Vangmaya, no specific variation is meant by saying Pachati or Pachate, Yachati or Yachate. The meaning is literally the same. Okay, so cooks, cooks. Okay, uh, asks, does. Okay, no problem. Somebody, some single person doing all this. Okay. However, there is a subtle distinction between the two in Shastra. See, now they are going into the explanation. Okay. Classification of verb roots into Parasmaipadi, Atmanepadi, and Ubhayapadi, as done by the grammarians, simply has to be followed by us. Okay. We are in Loka not trying to distinguish, but we decline them or we conjugate them exactly as instructed. What is legal? Okay, that's what they're saying. The Parasmaipadi verb root should not be conjugated as Atmanepadi, like Gachate, Patate would be illegal, and vice versa, like Kampati, Vandati, etc. should not be done. Now, what they fail to explain is, however, there is a subtle distinction between the two in Shastra, and they put a full stop and did not go into what is this subtle distinction. Okay, I will go a little bit into that to the extent that my simple mind knows. Okay, anyway, let's finish reading it. Given below are forms of Parasmaipadi and Atmanepadi in present tense. Memorize them and remember the difference between Parasmaipadi and Atmanepadi. We did it once, so I just repeated the tables here for you. So now let's go into what is the subtle distinction between the two in Shastra. What we see in ancient Sanskrit texts is the Atmanepaditva and Parasmaipaditva is of Paninian definition is also somewhat violated, and we see actually what is supposed to be only Atmane declined as Parasmai and what is known as Parasmai declined as Atmane, etc. We have seen that in actual Shastra. There seems to be not any specific what you call binding that we should not decline that way, this way. And what we also notice that from the way the texts roll, that there was this sense, just as the name suggests. See, the name itself is highly suggestive. Atmane parasmai. Parasmai, it means for the sake of others. Atmane means for one's own sake. Okay, so that sense seems to carry in the ancient Shastra texts to a large extent. So Atmanepadi usage seems to be when some action is done with a self-focused gain. Okay, self-gain focus or something like that. Okay, whereas a parasmai seems to be used in places where the action is done not with a selfish only mind, but with a encompassing mind of not only helping oneself but helping others also, or exclusively helping others. That sense is there in the parasmai. Okay, so they conclude that there used to be this very clear atmane and parasmai sense in the ancient thing, but over time in many of the emerging kritis, which are also somewhat ancient, relatively they are also millennia old, that distinction seems to be lost a little bit when we come to even Paninian era, where Panini has clearly defined what is Atman and what is Parasmay and what is Ubhayapadi. You may ask, Parasmaipadi Dhatu, then is it only for others? No, many actions that are there in Parasmaipadi only seem to be actions that can be done for oneself also. So one cannot conclude that only such dhatus which have no sense of self go into Parasmai, dhatus which have pure sense of self go into Atmane, and dhatus that can be both focused go into Ubaya, etc. Nothing like that is seen in Paninian list when you understand the dhatus meaning. So what today's grammarians try to tell you is, look, for Laukika usage, just understand there are two technical variants of declension, and as Panini Guruji has defined, just follow that so that we don't confuse each other. Okay, don't go into this so-called subtle distinction between the two in Shastra aspect too much. Okay, that much is the minimum summary that I also know about this Atmane Parasmai. Okay. All right, so let us move forward. Any questions with
Yes,
respect to?
Mahoday.
Huh. Yes.
Namaskar, Mahoday. I was late to the class today due to some internet issues. Anyway, I had a doubt here about that karotu and kurtaha. Will
You're saying it all wrong. Karoti kurute.
karoti, right? Yes, and kurute. So, can we read karoti? If we read in Parasmay will it follow this titas, anti, sithastha,
Correct.
amiyavama?
Correct.
No, so then will it be
No, but kru
karonti or
dhatu,
karotinti?
look, Bagini. There is more in the game than just adding ti to the kru dhatu. If we just added ti to the kru dhatu, it would have been kriti. Correct? Dhatu
Right.
is kru, the pratyaya is ti. Why it is
Okay.
karoti?
Okay.
So there
Okay.
is something called dhatu prakriya. Okay.
Okay.
There is a gana. Each dhatu belongs to a gana. There are 10 ganas. Okay.
Ji. Ji.
Vadi gana, adadi gana, like that. Ganas are simply named after the first dhatu. Okay.
Okay.
Bhu,
Okay.
adi gana, bhadi gana, like that. Panini names them. If it belongs to Bhu Adi Gana, then it has to be following a certain type of prakriya. Okay, that
Okay.
prakriya in Parasma, in Atmane Parasmai have these variations. Karoti, Kurute. So the kru has become kar and o,
Okay.
karot. And so the rikara has taken ra and o shape. And here ru has come. So rikara has disappeared and a complete repamsha with ukara comes. Kurute.
Okay.
So
Okay.
these are all Paninian sutras are involved in how when the pratyaya attaches to the dhatu
Hmm.
with something in between called vikarana pratyaya gets also added, and that vikarana pratyaya is specific to the gana, the group to which the dhatu belongs. And there are
Okay.
10 ganas, so there are 2000 odd dhatus are spread
Okay.
across 10 ganas. Actually, bulk of them are spread across just 4 ganas. One gana is very major and 3 other ganas are quite large, and the other ganas are small ganas.
Small.
Okay,
Okay.
that much is enough to know now. Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
this is it's a vast ocean. Let us just swim what you call one
Mm,
travel point at a time.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions with respect to Mrunalini Barye? You have a question?
I still did not understand when to use Atmanepade and when to
Very
use
simple guidance
Padyanepade.
to you. Very simple guidance to you. If the verb is known to be Atmanepadi, use Atmanepadi. Okay. If the verb is known to be Parasmaipadi, use Parasmaipadi conjugation. If it is known to be Ubayapadi, you are free to choose. Okay. Simple answer.
Okay.
Just follow the strict stricture that you should not corrupt one form with the other. That's all. Okay.
No, you said some words should not be used, like Atmanepade should not be
That is what I
used to.
said. You should not corrupt. If you cannot take, for example, gachati and make it gachate. Okay, that's what I said. Should not corrupt the rule bound. That's all.
Okay,
Whereas
thank you.
pach dhatu, yach dhatu, kru dhatu, they are ubhayapadi. So there is no corruption. You can use whichever you wish. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's move forward. So numbers. So the next learning in the grammar section. Remember, we are in the second part of it, still in the first sub portion of that. Okay, numbers. So we continue our learning, right? We had done 1 through 10 and a few critical ones like 10 through 100 and sahasram and all that, right? So if you remember, eka, actually I don't know whether I have a practice for that. Okay. Let me just orally say it. I don't have it on. I will orally say it. Just take take the unit digit from this, and we will follow that. Okay. Shunyam was the first number. Ekam, dve, trini, chatvari, pancha. Please do not echo me because it will disturb others. Kindly do not echo me. It's not going to help the quality of the audio for the rest of the people. Okay. When I call you for an answer to participate, I have been very careful so that only one person unmutes and they speak or I speak. If two of us speak, no, the audio mixer is not good enough to bring out both our voices. It will simply kill both our voices in the recording. Okay. Huh. Ekam, dve, trini, chatvari, pancha, shat, sapta, ashta, nava, dasha. Like I said, you stay muted, but I didn't say stay quiet. Okay, you can be muted, but you can be telling at your respective places. Okay, please. When I say muted, I only mean electronically muted so that it doesn't come into the recording and to the others' ears. Okay, to each of your own ear, you should repeat. So that's what we learned. Then we learned dasha, vimshatihi, trimshat. I don't have anything to show here, just mouthing it. So dasha, vimshatihi, trimshat, chatvarimshat, panchashat, shashtihi, saptatihi, ashitihi, navatihi, shatam. Okay, so just like now I am able to bring it out of my mind, that practice should come to you. For numbers, it is very critical. It is not very complicated. Sanskritam numbers are extremely logical, and that's why the decimal system rules the world. Okay. The beauty of the decimal system, place value system, everything we attribute to the Vangmaya of Sanskritam. Okay. All right. So we have a lot to honor our forefathers for. So today our learning extends to learning how to go between 10 and 20, between 20 and 30, between 30 and 40, and so on and so forth. And then also other odd numbers like 123, etc. Perhaps, I don't know how much they are going to teach us. Perhaps they will not hammer you with everything. They may go up to 50. Let us see. Okay. In the previous lessons, you learned numbers from 1 to 10 and 10, 20, 30, so on up to 100. We just now practiced all of this. If you combine both of these, you get the rest of the numbers. Just simply stated, there is some engineering involved in that. Note the slight changes in some of them. That is where the problem comes. These so-called slight changes will keep us stumped for a while. Okay, numbers up to 50 are given below. Okay, remember these slight changes are not for the sake of it, not to trouble us. They are there so that the, like I told you, no, Sanskrit language is designed, engineered by somebody who is an expert audio engineer and an expert in effort involved in pronunciation and things like that, and they have fine tuned the language such that the effort is effortless or less effort, I should say. So it's all, these slight changes are all to honor certain congruent human mouthable sounds. Should not be some clickety clackety languages that exist in the world also are there. They're so difficult to even hear, let alone understand. Okay, so we don't want Sanskrit to become a clickety clackety language and a hammer and tongs language and a drumbeat language. So they are all beautiful nada, okay, music. Note the slight changes in some of them. Numbers up to 50 are given below. Ekadasha, Dvadasha, Trayodasha, Chaturdaša, Panchadasha, Shodasha, Saptadasha, Ashtadasha, Navadasha, Vimshatihi. See what is happening? Dasha, 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 Dasha consistently carries through. In one places it has become a Dasha due to some Sandhi rule, but otherwise more or less everywhere Dasha, Dasha is seen. So the unit is leads off the reading followed by the decade. Okay, ekadasha. Okay, so the ekam is its pratipadika eka is added to dasha, and there is also some dirgha happening due to certain prakriyas. So it is not ekadasha, it is ekadasha. Okay, okay. So dvadasha, dve goes to dvadasha, trayodasha. Okay, trini goes to trayas and trayodasha. Okay, chaturdasha, chatvari. This is an apumsakalinga sound, but from the chatuhu is the pratipadika. So chatuhu dasha, so chaturdasha, repamsha comes out of visarga due to some rules. Okay, chaturdasha. Okay, then pancha dasha, very straightforward. Pancha dasha, there seems to be nothing required to modify anything, so it remains nice. Then shat dasha, right? Shat was the next number, shat dasha, but due to sandhis it has become shodasha, so soft. Okay, no shat dasha. Shat dasha is so, if you try to pronounce shat dasha you struggle. Okay, so shodasha, very very congruent. Okay, then sapta dasha. Okay, sapta and dasha. Okay, no problem. Ashta and dasha, ashtadasha. So dirghification has happened. Ashtadasha. Navadasha, not navadasha. With nava, that dirgha doesn't happen. So navadasha. These are the subtle. What we should do is not try to look at it too much in a logical sense. Sometimes we should just repeat it some few times like a child. Then it becomes something that your tongue knows how to roll. Okay. Navadasha. So Vimshatihi. So 1 and 10, 2 and 10, 3 and 10. That's how it is being composed in Sanskritam. Okay. Okay. Vimshatihi is a new word for 2 times 10. Okay. Actually, if you see Vimshatihi, this shat is there. What is shat? We know shatam is 100. So what this is declaring is this is 2 parts of 100. Okay. So nothing is unscientific also in the decade naming. Okay. So if you'll see the same thing, trimshat, chatvarimshat, panchashat, shashtihi, saptatihi. So after that they use a slightly different variant. Okay. Whoever named them was clearly a good linguist. Okay, so that's what goes. So once more, we'll just read Ekadasha, Dvadasha, Trayodasha, Chaturdasha, Panchadasha, Shodasha, Saptadasha, Ashtadasha, Navadasha, Vimshatihi. Okay, next we come to how to how does it vary between say 20 and 30. So that's how we focus next. So ekavimshatihi, dvavimshatihi, trayovimshatihi, Chaturvimshatihi. See, there is a Chatur, there is a Repa attack, then there is a Bindu below for Vim. So this Repa attack should be first. Chaturvimshatihi, Panchavimshatihi, Shadvimshatihi. See again Dakara. Shadvimshatihi, Saptavimshatihi, Ashtavimshatihi, Navavimshatihi, Trimshat. Okay. So very, very congruent again. Eka, Dva, Trayo, Chatus or Chatur, Pancha, Shad, Sapta, Ashta, Nava, and then Trimshat we know separately. So this is how. Now one more thing I would like to also say about Navadasha and Navavimshatihi. Today Samskrita Bharati doesn't want to complicate your brain and introduce another variant of saying that. The Sanskrit guys were always mathematicians. They mentally had numbers very well in their brain. So instead of calling it Navadasha, you can also say 1 less than 20. So there is a technique of naming it as 1 less than 20, which is called Ekona Vimshatihi, Ekona Trimshat. Means 1 less than 30, 1 less than 20. Literally, is how the name was given. Ekona Vimshatihi, Ekona Trimshat. That's another variant that is allowed only for the 19, 29, 39, those positions. Okay. You cannot do dvauna vimshatihi and try to construct some sandhi and make dvauna vimshatihi. Technically, you may be right to have constructed such a thing, 2 less than 20. But since it is not in Rudy, another person may just shake his head and say, what are you trying to do? Why are you murdering my numbers? Like that. Okay. But the Ekona Vimshatihi, Ekona Trimshat is as much popular as Navadasha and Navavimshatihi. Okay. Just want to point that out. The Una means less than, reduced from, like that. Okay. Nyunata, some lacking. So Una is a similar thing. Okay. Something lacking from the whole. Okay. All right. So Ekavimshatihi, Dvavimshatihi, Trayovimshatihi, Chaturvimshatihi, Panchavimshatihi, Shadvimshatihi, Saptavimshatihi, Ashtavimshatihi, Navavimshatihi, Trimshat. If I had a Pratyaksha class with you guys, I used to teach all these classes Pratyaksha in my home. So at that time, I would make the student collectively do the exercise, but internet is not a very favorable media for such collective reading, so I will avoid that. Okay, so we'll go forward. Maybe what we can do is take one person to read all these numbers once, just quickly. We have enough time for that. Let me not do partiality to the sisters, so I will call Rupa P. Jadhav. Rupa from Rupa Jadhav. Please to unmute yourself.
Yes.
I think earlier I called upon Ruchita, right? Okay. So Bagini, if you can read all these purple numbers and then the blue numbers slowly, I would appreciate that.
Ekadash.
Straight away you made a mistake. Can you correct yourself?
Ekadasha.
Thank you, Bagini. You know what you are doing wrong, so I am appreciative of that. Continue.
Dwadasha.
Hmm.
Trayodasha. Chaturdasha. Panchadasha. Shodasha. Saptadasha. Ashtadasha. Navadasha. Vinshatihi.
Very good.
Ekavinshatihi. Dvavinshatihi. Tryovinshatihi.
Again.
Trayo.
No trio.
Vinshati.
Trayo. Tra is full there. There is no half. See, the bar completes. So trayo vimshatihi. And your pronunciation of Vinchati is better than mine actually. I laud you for that. You go correctly nasal for the bindu. Vinchatihi like that. Somehow my South Indian brain goes Vimshatihi like Makara. You are more accurate. Continue, Bagini.
Trayo Vinshati.
You have to produce a little bit of the Visarga.
Trayo Vinshatihi. Chaturvinshatihi. Panchavinshatihi. Shadavinshatihi.
No, don't do Shada. Just do Shadvimshatihi.
षड्विंशतिः.
Here, because see, there is actually a halant, there is no need to make shada. So there is a halant, and this halant is due to the font not being able to recognize that dakara has to be put with the vakara below and the im. We would write like that, no? Unfortunately, because this font is lacking, they ended up doing this breakup method. Halanta dakara followed by vim. But that doesn't mean this dakara is another akshara. It is somehow we have to excuse this inability of the font to include the more complicated compound and read it somehow as that shadvimshatihi, like that. Okay.
सप्तविंशतिः.
Hmm.
अष्टविंशतिः.
No, it didn't come out right.
अष्टाविंशतिः.
Hmm.
नवविंशतिः.
Hmm.
त्रिंशत्.
Excellent, Bhagini. Bhagini sounds quite young. Generally, we have had elderly people in my classes.
No,
I
my
don't.
voice is comes. I think it's because Mercury in second house. It sounds
You can
childish.
call yourself young,
I don't
Bhagini.
know.
Don't need. I'm not going to ask you your age. Don't worry.
No. It sounds childish because of probably
No,
Mercury in
not
second
childish.
house.
It's a nice, sweet young voice, so that's good. I'm happy about that. Okay. All right. So we have learned the first decade and the second decade. So now let's progress into the third and fourth decades. Actually, we learned the second decade and the third decade. First decade we learned last time only, Eka to Dasha. So this is second decade and third decade we read. So now we go to fourth and fifth decade as the additional learning from this lesson. So Bhagini has helped us with that. Thank you. Thanks, Bhagini. So let me just go through it once and then maybe one of you can try with practicing this. So Ekatrimshat, Dvatrimshat, Trayastrimshat, see Sakara. Okay. So Trayastrimshat, Chatustrimshat. See, earlier Repa was seen as the Chatuhu, Trayaha, etc. was seen as Chatur, Trayar, like that. Here Sa is seen. So Trayastrimshat, Chatustrimshat. That is due to the attack letter being Takara. Okay. Chatustrimshat, Panchatrimshat, Shat-trimshat, no dakara, because the takara is harsh sound. Takara remains harsh along with it to simplify the pronunciation. So instead of shad-trimshat, which is tough, going from soft to hard in a without a swara in between is very difficult for the mouth. So they stay with karkasha. So one karkasha with another karkasha. See how sandhi rules are congruent. So shat-trimshat, there is not much twist in the mouth. Shat-trimshat, saptatrimshat, ashtatrimshat, navatrimshat, chatvarimshat. Very similar to what we practiced earlier, except we notice this sakara coming in place of repas in some places and some places where dakara transformation didn't happen, just shat remained shat. Okay. Again, everywhere we recognize is due to certain subtle sandhi rules. Okay. Not randomly put in by our ancestors to trouble us. They're all to make it easier to pronounce. Okay. So ekatrimshat, dvatrimshat, trayastrimshat, chatustrimshat, panchatrimshat, shattrimshat, saptatrimshat, ashtatrimshat, navatrimshat, chatvarimshat. See, almost you don't see Mahaprana anywhere. Though the Shakara here, etc., are considered somewhat Mahaprana, at least Vargiya Mahapranas are absent, if you notice. If you notice earlier also, no Vargiya Mahapranas. Okay, no Dhakara, no Dhakara, nothing. Fairly straightforward, huh? Very easy to pronounce. Okay, doesn't mean they won't come somewhere, but I'm not seeing so far anything with the Mahaprana. Okay, it's fairly soft, all numbers. Okay. Then we come to the series of 40 through 50, 41 through 50 rather. Okay, ekachatvarimshat. So chatvarimshat, ekachatvarimshat, dvichatvarimshat. Here we start getting into newer variations. It's not dvachatvarimshat like earlier we saw dvatrimshat. And so this is dvichatvarimshat. This is where we usually stumble, and it is not a big what you call error. If you end up using dvat chatvarimshat, it's not like you're committing a sin or anything. It's a acceptable scalana in the path of learning. Okay, people will understand you, no problem, don't worry. So if you end up saying dve chatvarimshat, dva chatvarimshat instead of dvi, it's not a bad error. Okay, all right. But this is the correct form, that much you know. Okay, द्विचत्वारिंशत्, त्रिचत्वारिंशत्, चतुश्चत्वारिंशत्. The sakara became shakara here. Chatushchatvarimshat to go with cha, shcha, shcha. Shchutva sandhi we call it actually. You're going to learn that in the third level. Chatushchatvarimshat, panchachatvarimshat. This pancha is the easiest fellow so far. Everywhere he remains pancha without punching us. So panchachatvarimshat, shat chatvarimshat again remains harsh with chakara. Shat chatvarimshat. Shat chatvarimshat. Don't make it shat chatvarimshat like I said. I just said it to accentuate. Correct pronunciation is shat chatvarimshat. That's all. Okay. Sapta chatvarimshat. Ashta chatvarimshat. Again a little stumping. Earlier ashta was there. Ashta. Okay. Hirsva. Ashta chatvarimshat. Again it's not a huge mistake if you end up saying ashta chatvarimshat, but over time you will know, oh no, it is never ashta chatvarimshat, already long enough. Ashta chatvarimshat. That's all. Okay. Navachatvarimshat, panchashat. Okay. So this is the flow. So let us have somebody practice with us.
So what do we do?
Uma Varye.
Yeah. Okay.
Uma Varye.
एकत्रिंशत्
Hmm.
द्वात्रिंशत् त्रयोत्रिंशत्
No, are you reading correctly?
त्रयोसि
Where is trayo there? Where is trayo there?
त्रयासि
No.
त्रयास्त्रिंशत्
Where is traya there? There is traya only.
त्रयस्त्रिंशत्
Trayastrimshat. Don't read what is not
त्रयस्
there, okay?
ओके त्रयस्त्रिंशत् चतुस्त्रिंशत् पञ्चत्रिंशत् षट्त्रिंशत् सप्तत्रिंशत् अष्टात्रिंशत् नवत्रिंशत् चत्वारिंशत् एकचत्वारिंशत् द्विचत्वारिंशत् त्रिचत्वारिंशत् चतुश्चत्वारिंशत् पञ्चचत्वारिंशत् चत्वारिंशत् सप्तचत्वारिंशत् अष्टचत्वारिंशत् नवचत्वारिंशत् पञ्चाशत्.
Thanks, Bhagini. Well read. Okay, and now only thing whatever printer composition here is a little poor, so the bindu is hardly seen, but Bhagini read it correctly everywhere. Rim, 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 like that everywhere. Okay, the dot is a little bit just appearing like a something on top of that e, but it should be a distinct dot in actual writing. Okay. Anyway, like here, strimshat and all, it came well, but in some places it got observed. Okay, not very accurate composition. Okay, whatever computer font they used was little poor. But Bhagini read it all fine. Okay, so this is the practice. So what we had learned in decade, thanks Uma Bhagini. दश विंशतिः त्रिंशत् चत्वारिंशत् पञ्चाशत् षष्टिः सप्ततिः अशीतिः नवतिः शतम्. So similar thing will go on from panchashat into ekashashtihi, like that. We will practice that later, okay, when they teach us. So with that we have come to abhyasa. Very good. So now we go back to our kriyapada practice. It's very easy. Again, I will just do crowdsourcing perhaps because it's not too bad for crowdsourcing. So I will do crowdsourcing rather than individual answers. So write the other numbers of the following. That means they have given one ekavachana or dvivachana or bahuvachana form, and you have to fill the others. So what we have to answer, when you answer, no, you have to read all three. Okay. So ikshate, ikshete, ikshante is the prototype example that they have already given. So for vandu dhatu, can you guys tell the all three forms?
Vandate, vandete, vandente.
Correct.
Vandante.
Vandate, vandete, vandante. Well said. Well said, Bhagini. Vandate, vandete, vandante. So yat dhatu?
Yatete, yatante.
Yatete, yatante.
Yatante. So yatate, yatete, yatante. Well done. Shank.
Shankete. Shankante.
Shankante. So here you should remember to not put the A again. So Shankate, Shankete. Only for the Dvivachana you get Ete. Otherwise you get Ate, Ante. Okay, no A. So Shankate, Shankete, Shankante. Remember this. Ete business for the Dvivachana. Okay, something to always remember. Okay, Shobh.
शोभते
Shobhate.
शोभेते शोभन्ते
Shobhante.
Shobhante. Well done. Shobhate, Shobhete, Shobhante. So a little bit meaning also I shouldn't have told. Ikshate, observe. Vandate, to offer namana. Yatate, to try. Shankate, to doubt. Shobhate, to shine. Okay, or generally be bright. Okay. Then Yach.
याचसे
याचसे
Yachase.
याचेसे याचन्से
Yachete. Yachadve.
Yachase, yach. What is happening now? Few of you may have been stumped by looking at what is happening. Suddenly we have shifted from Prathama Purusha to Madhyama Purusha. Okay. So here, for example, until now it was Tvam, Saha Vandate, Sa Yatate, Ramaha Shankate, Sita Shobhate, etc. Okay. Suddenly we shifted to Tvam business. Tvam Yuvam Yum business. That's why the sounds are different. Okay. So Yachase, Yachethe, Yachadve. Okay. Tvam Yachase, Yuvam Yachethe, Yum Yachadve. Okay. So they have shifted us without the example is only for Prathama Purusha, but this is Madhyama Purusha. But we have to identify that by looking at this form. Okay. Then Sah Dhatu.
Sahase.
सहसे
Sahete.
सहेते सहद्वे
Sahadve.
Very good.
सहद्वे
Sahete Sahadve. Sahase Sahete Sahadve. Try. Again you see Ethe in the Dvivachana. So go in Madhyama Purusha.
त्रायते
Trayate.
त्रायते त्रायेथे त्रायद्वे
No,
Trayadve.
Mahodaya. The Mahodaya answered all wrong. He went Prathama Purusha. Okay. So this is Mahapranatha. Okay. So we have to go
त्रायसे
Trayase. Trayete.
त्रायद्वे
Trayadve.
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 So please notice the Mahaprana here. Very subtle. See the Alpaprana te is Alpaprana ete is Uttama Prathama Purusha. Mahaprana thakara ethe is Madhyama Purusha. So you have to go say ethe dve. Okay. Trayase, trayethe, trayadve. Next, bhash. Now, what is seen is bhasha mahe. What is the purusha?
भाषे उत्तम
Uttama
पुरुष
Purusha.
Uttama
उत्तम
purusha.
पुरुष
So give the answers.
भाषे
भाषे
Bhashe.
भाषामहे भाषामहे
Bhashamahhe.
Bhashavahe,
भाषावहे
bhashamahe.
वशामहे
So we have to take patiently, identify the purusha and then go. Okay. So that's very accurately needed to be done. Shlag.
श्लाघे
श्लाघे
श्लाघावहे
श्लाघावहे
श्लाघामहे
श्लाघामहे
Shlagamahe. So this is also Uttama Purusha. Shlaghe, Shlaghavahe, Shlagamahe. So what are the new dhatus we learned so far? So Sahase, you will withstand. Trayase, you will protect. Bhashe, you will talk or you are talking. Will I am just using in the sense of right now. Okay, don't take it as future. Shlaghe, you appreciate. Okay, these are the variations. Uh.
ऊहे ऊहावहे
Uhe.
उहावहे
Uhamhe.
उहामहे
Uhamhe.
So this one again aham. Aham uhe, avam uhavahe, vayam uhavahe.
Vayam uhamahe.
Uttama Purusha. Save.
Seve.
सेवे सेवावहे
सेवावहे
सेवामहे
सेवामहे
Sevamahe. Very easy. Laj.
लज्जे लज्जावहे
लज्जसे
लज्जाध्वे
लज्जेथे लज्जद्वे
Ella fail. Ella fail. Lajjase. Lajjase.
लज्जसे
Dve is
लज्जसे
three.
लज्जेथे
Lajjase. Lajjethe. Lajjadve. Madhyama Purusha again. Okay. Lajjase, Lajjethe, Lajjadve. For the first time, Samskrita Bharati put some slightly stump type of thing. They put out of order. Okay. Just to see whether students are just sleeping or what. Okay, so lajjase, lajjete, lajjadve. Moment you see dve, you see madhyama purusha. Huh?
Right.
So what are the meaning? Is to guess, save is to offer seva, laj is to become lajja. I mean, what do you call it? Shy. Yeah, shy. Thanks. Okay. All these babies are there to help us, you see. Change into plural. So easy to change into plural using pictures, making many babies. So balakaha ikshate, balakaha ikshante. Okay, but you have to observe the karta, whether it is prathama purusha, madhyama purusha, uttama purusha, and answer. See, again, they have switched around a little bit, so be careful when you go. Okay, so balakaha ikshate, balakaha ikshante. Yodha yudyate.
Yodaha
योधः
yudyante.
युध्यन्ते
Very good. Yodaha yudyante. So many soldiers they fight. Okay. Devaha trayate.
देवाः
Devaha
त्रायन्ते
trayante.
Trayante. We have enough number of gods to help us. So devaha trayante. So the gods will help us. Sasyam vardhate.
Sasyani
सस्यानि वर्धन्ते
vardante.
Very good. Many of you got the plural accurate. Sasyam is napumsaka. Okay. So sasyani
Sasyani.
vardhante. Because it is napumsaka, there is no change to how the dhatu declines. Okay. Vardhante. So, but plurality is common. Sasyani vardhante. Well done. Tvam lajjase.
यूयं
Yuyam
लज्जद्वे
lajjate.
Yeah. Easy. Yum lajjadve. Luckily, there is no variation here of linga. So it's easy. Tvam yatase.
Yuyam
Yuyam
yatatve.
yatatve.
यतन्ते
Yatadve, not
Yatatve.
yatante.
Yatadve.
Yatadve. Okay. Yatante is for te yatante or taha yatante. Okay. Artani yatante. This is yum. Okay. So yatadve, madhyama purusha. Tvam yachase.
Yuyam
यूयं
yachadve.
याचन्ते
Yachadve.
Yachadve.
Somebody keeps saying ante ante. Okay. Yachadve. Aham uhe.
Vayam
Vayam uhamahe.
वयम् ऊहामहे
uhamahe. Uhamahe.
Uhamahe.
Mahe.
So uhe, uhavahe, uhamahe. Aham, avam, vayam. So vayam, uhamahe is the combination. Okay. Aham ikshe.
Vayam
Ikshamahe.
ikshamahe.
वयम् ईक्षामहे
Correct. Vayam ikshamahe. Easy one. Aham shanke.
Vayam
Vayam
वयम्
shankamahe.
shankamahe.
शङ्कामहे
Vayam shankamahe. We all doubt the answer. Tvam vandase.
Tvam vandat.
Yuyam
यूयं
vandadve.
वन्दद्वे
Yuyam vandadve.
Yuyam
Yuyam
vandadve. Very
vandadve.
good. Yuyam vandadve. Okay, I think we got the horn for 12 o'clock. The train has come to give us a water break. So we will take a water break and continue with this exercise. Okay, let us restart the exercise after the water break. So 3 minutes back in 12:02, 12:03. Okay, thank you. Okay, welcome back. So let us continue with the practice. Uh, make sentences using the verb root given in the box. Okay, so one they have given, and now the exercise is they have asked you to conjugate it accurately for the different purushas and vachanas. Hopefully, also vachana variations will come later. So, tvam, how does one go with tvam? How does it go with aham, vayam, saha? So, four variants. And then you have to switch to bash and go four more variants, shlag and go four more variants. Okay. So, this is what we have to try. Again, I will crowdsource the answer. Vand, tvam,
Vandase.
Vandase. Bhagini got it right. She was first of the blocks. Tvam Vandase. Aham
Vande.
Vande. Mahodaya was first of the block. Aham Vande. Well done. Vayam
Vandamahe.
Vandamahe. Makara. Vandamahe. Well done. Vayam Vandamahe. Saha
Vandate.
Saha Vandate. Good. Okay. So Vandase, Vande, Vandamahe, Vandate are the variations with Tvam, Aham, Vayam, Saha. So now we go with Bhash Dhatu. We switch the Dhatu. But the practice is similar. Harihi.
Bhashate.
Hmm. Harihi Bhashe Katam. Bhavaneva Harihi Va.
Bhashate.
Aham Bhashe. Okay. Harihi Bhashate. No problem. I was just pulling your leg, Mahodaya. So Harihi Bhashate. Te.
Bhashante.
Well done. Te bhashante. Bahuvachana. Sahatau te. So bahuvachana bhashante. I hope they gave, to stump us, they should give some dvivachanas in between, but they are not trying to trouble us too much. Yuyam
Bhashadve.
bhashadve. Very good. Yuyam bhashadve. Tvam bhashase. Yuyam bhashadve. Well done.
Bhashadve.
Aham
Bhashe.
bhashe. Easy. Aham bhashamahe katam. Aham bhashe. Vayam bhashamahe. Bhagini. Just don't look at Bhashadve and go
Oh, yes,
Bhashamahe.
yes, yes.
Okay, look at
Right.
Aham.
Aham.
Shlag. Vayam
Shlaghamahe.
Shlaghamahe. Well done. Vayam Shlaghamahe. We all appreciate. We all appreciate Samskrit Bharati. Let's pick up. Yuyam
Shlaghadve.
Shlaghadve. Yuyam Shlaghadve. Well done. Okay, you all appreciate. Then Janaha
Shlaghante.
Shlaghante. Very good. Okay. Janaha shlaghante. People appreciate. Aham
Shlaghe.
shlaghe. This exercise is nice, no? Because now we have to randomly pick, but we know dvivachana is missing, so it makes it a little helpful. If they included dvivachana, it is a little more nice to work with and remember what to pull out of our mouths. Okay, well done. Write the Atmanepadi form of the root given in brackets corresponding to the Prasmaipadi verb. Okay. This is also they have made it fairly easy, but this is actually I like this exercise because it gives us options. Okay, some dhatus are you can go from Parasmaipadi dhatu to Atmanepadi using the variant version. Okay, that is a good exercise also that way. So namati vand dhatu vandate. So what we have to do? Dhatu we know vand. Pretty much we know Parasmaipadi verb because even the question already stated. Okay. Now what they have given is an Atmanepadi declension. So what we have to study? We have to study that, check the Purusha and the Vachana from that. Okay. Namati. So this is Pratama Purusha Ekavachana. So Vand I have to decline in Pratama Purusha Ekavachana. That is the exercise. So Namati Vandate. So now what will happen when we do that? Namati and Vandate become more or less Paryaya Kriyapadas. They become equivalent Kriyapadas, which we can switch. Okay. If we want in some beautiful kriti that one day we will create. Okay. Vadati bhash. What would be the form?
Bhashate.
Bhashate. Bhashate. So saha bhashate. Sa bhashate. Tat bhashate. Ramah bhashate. Sita bhashate. Mitram bhashate. All these variations are possible. Vadasi bhash.
Bhashase.
Bhashate.
How it is
Bhashate.
bhashate?
Bhashate.
Bhashase. See, vadasi. Madhyama Purusha Ekavachana. So, bhashase.
Bhashase.
Tvam bhashase. Tvam has to come into the picture. Tvam from Vandasi we read Tvam. So, we go Tvam bhashase. So, there is a two-step process. Observe the Purusha and Vachana and go with that. Vadamaha. Bhash.
Bhashamahe.
Bhashamahe. Well
Vayam.
done.
Vayam
Vayam
bhasham.
vadamaha. Vayam bhashamahe. Vayam
Bhasham.
bhashamahe. Pashyati ikshe.
Ikshate.
Ikshate. Ikshate. So Ramah pashyati, Sita ikshate.
Ikshate.
Okay, well done. Pashyamah. Again.
Ikshamahe.
Ikshamahe.
Ikshamahe. Very good.
Ikshamahe.
Not ikshamaha. Ikshamahe. It has to go in Atmanepadi Bahuvachana Uttama Purusha. So Vayam ikshamahe. Pashyanti.
Ikshante.
Ikshante.
Ikshante. Well
Ikshante.
done. Ikshante. So janaha ikshante. Taha ikshante. Te ikshante. Tani ikshante. Namanti.
Vande.
Vandante. Vandante.
Vandante. Very good. Vandante. So again, te taha tani vandante. Okay. Vandante. Namasi.
Vandase.
Vandase.
Vandase. Well done, Mahodaya. Tvam vandase. Very good. Tushyati. Mod.
Modate.
Modate. Saha modate. Sa modate. Tat modate. Okay. So tushyati is happy. Okay. Becomes happy or is happy. Modate, same sense, is happy. So the modakam that we know as sweet, the name for sweet is modakam. No? Modakam comes from the fact that it pleases another. Okay. Modakam. That which pleases another. Sharkara asti iti. Astu. Tushyami. Mod again.
Mode.
Mode. Well done. Okay. Tushyam. Aham tushyami. Aham mode. Okay.
Aham
So
mode.
much variation between Parasmaya and Atmanaya. We have to be cautious. Okay. All right. So that was a good exercise. So now we come to the next section. I'll mute all of you. Thanks for participating. Jyoti Bhagini, you have your hand up. Is there a reason? No. Some from earlier.
No, it was done earlier.
No problem. No problem. I'll just lower it. I think you have lowered it. Thanks. So mute all. We have settled down to about 20 students now. 19-20 students come consistently. That's it. That's my now critical number, which is less than 25% of my group size, but that's okay. I'm happy I have very dedicated students. However many count doesn't matter for us. So Vyavaharika Shabdaha section of the learning. We have moved to the second section after a long time in the second lesson. So we'll start with this cute goat. Ajaha. Ajaha. He goat or a ram. Okay. He goat or a ram as we call. Aja. She goat. So with the stri pratyaya added, it becomes aja. She goat. Okay. Gauhu, dhenuhu, cow. There is um, I'm not sure this Gau Shabda has a way of going to masculine. So I have seen some particular form, but I am not myself. So it's, I think, natively Stri. Okay. Gauhu, Dhenuhu, cow. Okay. It's a tough word. Dhenuhu is a easier word than Gauhu.
Excuse me,
Gauhu.
sir. Sir,
Yes.
Gauho. How to pronounce Gauho or Gauhu?
Gauhu. Gauhu.
Okay.
Gauhu.
Thank you, sir.
Au, u ends, no? Au ends in u. So gauhu, gauhu, not gauhau, no, gauhu, or gauh, like that. Okay. Mm. Vrishabha, bull. Vrishabha, Mahaprana. Vrishabha, bull. So this is the male variant of gauhu. Okay, Vrishabha. Then Tarnakaha, calf. Tarnakaha, calf. What a different name, no? Very specific name for a calf. Tarnakaha, calf. Then Mahishaha, bison. Okay, Mahishaha, bison. Mahishi, buffalo. Okay, so buffalo, Mahishi, emme, as we say in Kannada. Mahishaha, male emme, or bison. Okay, Mahishaha. Okay, so this one is our uh, Yamaraja's carrier, and Vrishabha is the carrier of Lord Shiva. Huh? Okay. Mahishi, Mahishasuna Mardini, Mahishi, buffalo. Okay. Gajaha, elephant. Gajaha, elephant. Many more paryaya padas are there for elephant. Okay. Kunjaraha. Okay. And then Hastihi, Hastipaha. Many aliases are there for elephant. Okay, I think Hastipa may be something else. Let me not volunteer for that. Hasti we know is definitely elephant. Then Varaha, pig or boar. Okay, boar more likely. Varaha. Okay, that is the forest boar. Okay, then Ashwaha, horse. Ashwaha, horse. Again, many paryaya padas. Okay. So there are these silly guys who say, hey, India never had horse. It was brought by the Persians and all kinds of things. Maybe, but the trade between India and all these Greece and Persia and North African Arabia regions, they transcend to many millennia ago. Okay. So they are not from the recent invasions. Okay. So actually, there is a yagna itself named after that. Okay, so Ashwa, and then there are many more names. Turagaha and few other names are there. We will leave that. Okay, Ashwaha. Now, what is Ashwaha? One without tomorrow is the sense we get from Ashwa. I don't know whether that name is derived due to some reason why horse runs like something without tomorrow, like that. Maybe, I don't know. Sanskrit, usually the names have very great genesis in them. Gardabaha, donkey. Okay, a couple of other names are there, but anyway, Gardabaha, donkey. Meshaha, sheep or ram. Okay, now see this is a goat ram, Ajaha. Meshaha is a sheep ram. Okay, goat ram versus sheep ram. I don't know whether in English there may be more subtle variations for the two. There will be, but we are not going to bother with those. Marjaraha, cat. Marjaraha. Okay. Repa is very important. Don't confuse with marjala. Somewhere I have seen marjalaha. I don't know whether that is a variation available for marjaraha, but let's stick to repa. Marjaraha, cat. Shunakaha, dog. Shunakaha, dog. Okay, this also has many other paryaya padas. Okay. Shashaha, rabbit. Shashaha, rabbit. Shashanka, you know, Shashivadana for Chandra is called Shashivadana with the face of a rabbit. So Shashanka. Also, Anka is also, I think, something like a face or something. So maybe also again name for Chandra. Okay, Shashaha, rabbit. Kukkutaha, rooster. Kukkutaha, rooster. Okay. Cook iti karoti iti kukkutaha. See the name? It's constructed out of how it makes the sound. Kukkutaha. And kukuti, stri pratyaya has been used. Neep pratyaya, something like that it's called. So kukuti, hen. Okay. Kadambaha, duck. Okay. I don't have a nice picture for it. For some reason I skipped it. Okay, Kadambaha, duck. Then Shukaha. So Kadambari. I don't know whether the name Kadambari comes from Kadambaha. Some reason is there for that. I am not sure. But anyway, it's interesting. Shukaha, parrot. Shukaha, parrot. Then Mushakaha, rat. Mushakaha, rat. So again, our Ganapati's ride. We recognize many of these as rites of many of our gods. Paravataha, pigeon. Okay. Paravataha, pigeon. Okay. Kabutar is a apabramsha of Paravataha only over time. Huh? So Paravataha, pigeon. Then Chatakaha. Chatakaha, sparrow. This is there in Hindi also even today. They call it this Chataka. Some such name variation is there in Hindi, as far as I recall. Chatakaha, sparrow. Okay, once more I'll just read them without translation. Ajaha, Aja, Gauhu, Dhenuhu, Vrishabhaha, Tarnakaha, Mahishaha, Mahishi, Gajaha, Varahaha, Ashvaha, Gardabaha, Meshaha, Marjaraha, Shunakaha, Shashaha, Kukkutaha, Kukkuti, Kadambaha, Shukaha, Mushakaha, Paravataha, Chatakaha. Okay. All right. So I think it's a good number of bird and animal names to remember for us. Almost all the important ones have been covered. Okay. Nice. We keep plowing forward because as usual we time looks very less. Days keep running. So let's keep plowing. So Prahelika section. So what is Prahelika? Some quiz for us. Prahelika. Strilinga pada. So this is what is they have thrown in a question mark from modern era, but original verse won't have that. Just we go. Seemantini Shuka Shanta. Oh, our Srimanti Varya's name is there. Srimanti Varya, are you there? Srimanti Varya?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Huh.
sir.
I
Yes.
think your name is from Seemantini only, right?
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
you know
It's the
what?
Sanskrit.
Sanskrit name. You know, this is a beautiful name. The Seemantini is a name derived for a feminine name derived from when we have our hair split in
Yes,
by
Seema.
way, no?
Yes.
When we take it to the two folds, okay?
Yes.
So that is called Seemanta. Okay, so Seemantini is one with that bifurcation. Basically, it's a beautiful name.
Thank you, sir.
I have there is a lake behind our layout. That lake's name is Seemantini Kere, Seemantini Lake. It's named after the same
But it
thing.
has been a little bit corrupted.
Huh.
Now it's Simanti.
See, that is okay. That is, see, that it is not corruption.
Actually,
It's
the
what we call
basic
Tadbhava.
root.
Tadbhava. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
So actually, I'm named Simantini, but it has become Simanti. So I use Simanti.
Oh, they actually named you Seemantini, but somewhere when registering the name in the 10th
Yes.
class, they made a mistake with the spelling. Okay, that happens to a lot of us. Now it is all too complex to change again, so we just live with it.
Yes, so I have left it like that.
But it's a beautiful name, Seemantini.
Yes.
That in Bengali pronunciation becomes Shrimantini, which is nice.
Yeah, Bengali, we say Shimonti.
Shimonti. Oh, beautiful. Okay. All right.
Shimonti.
Shrimonti. Okay. And you named your daughter Shrimoyi. Very
Shrimoyi.
nice.
Shrimoyi. Yes, Shrimoyi.
So she is full of Shri, like that you have named her, right?
Hopefully, yeah.
She will be. Okay. So let me read the verse. Seemantini Shuka Shanta Raja Ko Bhut Gunottamah Vidusham Ka Sada Vandya Atraivoktam Na Budhyate. That's what Kavi says. Now, before we go into explanation, you would have seen something new here, right? I don't think we have encountered that so far. I'm going to explain about that. Okay, this is called avagraha chinha. This it is not an S character from English font. This is actually a Sanskrit symbol called avagraha. Avagraha chinha. It is actually a placeholder in written language only. Okay, only in written script you will find the avagraha. When pronouncing the word, we should skip over it. Ko bhoot, like that we should go. Ko bhoot. But the avagraha is there in written script so that we don't confuse how to do the sandhi split. So there is a sandhi called Purva Rupa Sandhi. One of the Swara Sandhis you are going to learn in the Parichaya level next is called Purva Rupa Sandhi. When the Purva Rupa Sandhi happens, okay, there is a Hrisva Akara here called Abhut. This one is actually a Lang Kriyapada called Abhut. Happened. Something happened. Okay, so somebody happened or something happened. So Abhut. So this Akara has got it elided. We call it elision, means disappeared, or Lopa in Sanskritam. So the Akara becomes Lopa in Sanskritam in the Purva Rupa Sandhi. Okay, so the Ko is also coming from Kaha. This all sounds a little complex to you guys now. What is this guy hammering us with? But I want you to just listen to it and let it slip. One day it will come to you, they will teach you. Visarga Sandhi is there in Shiksha level. They will teach you there. Okay. So this actually is Kaha plus Abhut in the original form. Kaha plus Abhut. Who became. Who became. Okay. So that in Sandhi form, Kaha becomes Utva. So Ko, it goes to Ko. And in the presence of Okara, the Hrisva Akara is elided as a second Sandhi called Purvarupa Sandhi. So there is a Visarga Sandhi in the first part and the Purvarupa Sandhi in the second part here. And because of Purvarupa Sandhi, the elided or the lopita, lupta, actually, sorry, lupta akaraha avagraha chinnhena darshitam bhavati. Lekhane darshitam bhavati avagraha chinnhena. So it is like a hrisva akara not pronounced in the collective. So when we split, we have to say kaha abhut. Has to be brought back. So that is the whole history of this avagraha chinha. In some places, in some text, you will see two of them. Okay, avagraha, avagraha. That is a little more modern practice in the past century or so to indicate a dirgha akara. Okay. When you see one entire dirgha akara or has been elided. Okay, that is shown in the script with double avagraha, so that you know when you split to do it correctly, not get confused. Because they do this in the last century, because we have become dumber. I'm talking about myself, guys. Okay. Raja Kobhut Gunottamaha. So now we'll go into meaning. Seemantinishu. This is Saptami Bhuvachana. Seemantini, as we know, is a name for a lady. Okay. It can be taken as women also in generic. It can be in specific somebody like our own Srimanti. But it is here generic. Seemantinishu, amongst the ladies. Okay. Ka Shanta, who is the peaceful one. Okay. Seemantinishu Ka Shanta, who is the peaceful one amongst the ladies. Okay. Okay. I think Umavariya's phone got unmuted due to accident. No problem. So Raja Kobhut Gunottamaha. So Raja, the king, Kaha, which king? So Kaha Raja, which king? Abhut became Gunottamaha, superior, one with of great quality. Which king became one who is of great quality? Okay, all right, fine. Vidusham ka sada vandya, amongst the experts, pandits. Okay, who? But this is feminine, lady pandits. Okay, ka, see which lady? Okay, sada vandya, always to be offered with namana, always to be respected. Okay, who is the lady who is to be respected amongst all the learned ladies? Okay, like that. Fine. Atraiva uktam. This is also a sandhi. Atra eva uktam has become atraivoktam. Two swara sandhis are there, guys. Atra plus eva plus uktam. Okay. Over time, you will learn what sandhi they are, etc. Just recognize that atraivoktam is like here only it is told. Huh? इधर ही बता गया है, इधर ही बता गया है. இங்கேயே சொல்லிருக்கு, அத்ரை ஓக்தம். Okay. ந புத்தியதே, but it is not easy to pick up. Please tell me, help me. No, I am not able to find out. Tell me. No, the Kavi is asking. Okay. So whatever what he is saying is, each of those phrases carry the answer. Please look for the answer which will fit the bill for answering that question and tell me what the word is. Okay. So Seemantinishu Kashanta Raja ko Bhut Gunottamaha Vidusham Kavan Sada Vandya. And so it told here who it is. So we can guess, take some guesses. Don't look at the English translation so much. Look at the Sanskrit letters to see if some clues come out from us. And my picture is a big hint.
Sita,
Sita. Well done.
Rama,
Rama. Ramaha. Ramaha.
Ramaha,
Hmm.
Vidya.
Vidya. Very good. The nakara has to be taken out and dya has to be read. So Vidya, not Vindya. Though yes, Vindya also can be taken as an answer, but Vidya is more accurately fitting. Vidusham ka sada vandya. Saraswati namastubhyam varade kama rupini. Every day we do. So Vidusham Vidya sada vandya. Seemantinishu Kashanta, nobody can be calmer than Sita. Though she does some pralapa when Ravana takes away, you have to give her that much allowance. Okay, if she doesn't create that much ruckus, then that's not fair. So Seemantinishu Kashanta Sita Raja ko Bhut Gunottamaha. So Ramaha, see Ramaha. Then Vidya, Vidusham ka sada vandya. Atre voktam na buddhyate. So there is no one answer. There are three answers for this Prahelika. Remember, there is no collective answers. Three, you can call them as historic people, or in some cases devas. Remember, devas were actually highly capable people for us. So they are part of our itihasa. Okay. So I don't want to go into political nature now, because nowadays talking anything about these kind of things is considered weird. Who is tranquil minded among women? Who was the most virtuous king? Beautiful. Gunottama, virtuous. We should pick up those things. What do learned respect? See, Vidya. Then answers to the three questions. Actually, so here Vidya can be taken in two ways. Vidya can be taken as Saraswati or can be taken as learning itself. Okay, because Vidusham, Vidya Sada Vandya. Amongst the Pandits, the knowledge is the one to be always worshipped. That's how we can read it. There is no difference between Saraswati and knowledge in our mind. Okay. Similarly, Ramaha means, like we Hindi world especially explains, Maryada Purushottamaha is Ramaha. Any man who has similar Gunavatta is also a Rama. Similarly, Sita. Okay. So that's what I have explained here. Nothing new. Simantini Shuka Shanta Sita. So deliberately I put the bindu here. So that the ta can be colored. If I have it as a compound, the nakara will also get colored. So that's my trick. Raja ko bhut gunottamaha Ramaha. Vidusham ka sada vandya. Here I couldn't separate the. I think I managed one dya. So only dya I have. So vidya. So little bit of the non-standard way of typing Sanskritam I have used just to color highlight. Yeah. Okay. So Sangrahya Vishayah we have come to. It's 12:30. So let us break off here. We'll take a lunch break now. And let us gather back at 3 o'clock and continue our learning. Okay, guys? So Is there a question, Varya?
But even though I retired X, so my
No, sir.
settlement was made.
No. Okay. So we will gather back at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and continue our study of the balance portion. Somebody has a question, Mahodaya.
Just wanted to ask you the previous slide, the Vidusham you said, no? In the previous slide, please. Vidusham. Vidusham. How does the declension come here? Is this Shashti or what?
See, Vidwan is a Nakaranta Shabda. Vidwan. Okay. So that may go to Vidusham in Shashti Bahuvachana amongst the Pandits, like that.
But the Ka, you said it's a lady.
Actually, it's Saptami. Sorry, Saptami Bahuvachana. So amongst the Pandits, like that.
Okay.
But actually, Vidusham.
See,
No. Actually, let me check whether it is Strilinga, Shashti Bahuvachana, or I have to check that. Okay.
Yeah. When you said Ka, then only the question came. Okay. Thank you.
Because Shu will come for Saptami. Sham usually comes for Shashti Bahuvachana. It's probably Shashti Bahuvachana. Okay. But we'll be fair to check Vidwan Shabda to see if it declines to Vidusham, and then we will know. Okay.
Thank you.
So we will gather back at 3, guys. Okay. Thank you. We will do the end prayers at the end of afternoon meeting. Thank you.
So you apply for something.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದः ಮಹೋದಯ.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಮಹೋದಯ.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ.